Hello everyone, this is Refresh, and I'm here to bring you a game between the two Throne of Eldrain Planeswalker decks. We have Oko over here and Rowan over there. We'll be playing the best of three, and we'll get started by rolling some dice to see who goes first. Oko rolls an 8. Rowan rolls a 2. Oko will opt to go first. Oko draws Oko's Accomplices, Merilith Pixie, Island, Frogify, Tome Raider, and Tome Raider. There's only one land, so we cannot keep this. We'll return it and hope to draw better. Oko draws a Merilith Pixie, a Garenbrig Carver, a Forest, a Thornfalls, Oko's Hospitality, Garenbrig Carver, and Forest. This is a much more keepable hand, so we will do so. Rowan draws a Prized Griffin, Acclaimed Contender, Rimrock Knight, Ardenville Tactician, Mountain, Rowan's Stalwarts, and Windscarred Crag. I wouldn't normally be happy keeping a two-lander, but I think that as long as we draw another land, we can get a little bit further, so we're going to keep this hand. Oko will play a Thornwood Falls. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life, and you can tap it to add green or blue. Gain 1 life to go to 21, and Oko will pass the turn. Rowan draws, gets a Knight of the Keep. Rowan will play the Windscarred Crag. This enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life, and you can tap it to add red or white. We'll gain 1 life to go to 21, and Rowan will pass the turn. Oko untaps, draws, gets a Mistford River Turtle. Oko will play a Forest. We'll tap the Thornwood Falls for blue and the Forest for green, and we'll play a Merilith Pixie. This is a 2/2 fairy with flying, and when you tap it, you can add green or blue. And then Oko will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws, gets a Windscarred Crag. Rowan will play the Mountain, and we'll tap the Windscarred Crag for white and the Mountain. And then we'll play the Rimrock Knight. This is a 3/1 dwarf, and it has adventure, but we're going to ignore that. And Rimrock Knight can't block. And then Rowan will pass the turn. Oko untaps, draws, gets a Thornwood Falls. Oko will play the Forest, and then we will tap everything, including the Merilith Pixie, for 4 mana, and we will play the Mistford River Turtle. This is a 1/5 turtle. Whenever it attacks, another target attacking non-human creature can't be blocked this turn. And then Oko will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws, gets a Mountain. Rowan will play the Mountain, and then Rowan will tap the Windscarred Crag for white and the 2 mountains, and we'll play the Acclaimed Contender. This is a 3/3 human knight. When it enters the battlefield, if you control another knight, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a knight or equipment or legendary artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. We control another knight, so we'll go ahead and look at the top 5 cards for a knight, aura, or equipment. Alright, we have a Garrison Griffin, Plains, Mountains, Rowan's Battle Guard, and Plains. Rowan's Battle Guard is the only card that we can get, so we're going to put this in our hand as a knight, and we're going to put the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order. Shuffle this, and then it'll go on the bottom. And then we are going to pass the turn for now. Oko untaps, draws, gets an island. Oko will play an island, and then we will attack with the Merilith Pixie for 2. Rowan cannot block. Oko will tap out and play Shield's Might, which is the adventure half of Garenbrig Carver. It says it's an instant, and it says target creature gains +2/+2 until end of turn, making the Pixie a 4/4, and then we'll exile this, and we can cast it from exile later. Rowan takes 4 and goes to 17, and Oko passes the turn. Rowan untaps, draws, gets a Youthful Knight. Rowan will play the Windscarred Crag tapped. We'll gain 1 life and go up to 18. Then Rowan will tap 3 mana and play the Knight of the Keep. This is a 3/2 human knight, and Rowan will pass the turn. Oko untaps, draws a Forest. We will play the Thornwood Falls tapped. We'll gain another life to go up to 22. And then we will tap 3 mana. Play the Garenbrig Carver. This is a 3/2 human warrior. And then Oko will attack with the Merilith Pixie for 2. Rowan can't block, will take 2 and go to 16. And Oko will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws an Ardenvale Tactician. Rowan is going to use the Ardenvale Tactician this next turn, so we'll tap the Windscarred Crag for white and a mountain, and we'll play a Youthful Knight. This is a 2/1 human knight with first strike, and then Rowan will pass the turn. Oko untaps, draws Oko the Trickster. Oko will play a forest, and then Oko will tap out and play Oko the Trickster. This is a Planeswalker Oko with 4 loyalty, and for +1 you can put 2 counters up onto 1 target creature you control. For 0, it becomes a copy of a target creature you control and prevent all damage that will be dealt to him this turn. For -7, until end of turn, each creature you control has base power and toughness 10 and gains trample. Go ahead and start with 4 counters, and then we will +1 to go to 5, and we will put 2 +1/+1 counters onto the Marrowleaf Pixie. Now we're just going to try to stay in defense mode because they have so many attackers. We could lose Oko in a swing, so we will hold back. And we will move to the end step. On Oko's end step, Rowan will tap the Mountain and the Windscarred Crag for white and play Ardenvale Tactician's Adventure, which is Dizzying Swoop. It's an instant and says tap up to 2 target creatures. This will get exiled and be able to be recast. Rowan will tap the Garenbrig Carver and the Marrowleaf Pixie, and then Oko's turn will end. Rowan untaps, draws, plays the Plains. Rowan will attack with everybody, attacking the Rimrock Knight, the Youthful Knight, and the Knight of the Keep into Oko the Trickster, and attack Oko directly with the Acclaimed Contender. Oko will block the Rimrock Knight with the Mistford River Turtle, but Oko himself will take 5 damage and die from the Knight of the Keep and the Youthful Knight, and will take 3 additional damage from the Acclaimed Contender to go down to 19. On the second main phase, Rowan will tap out and play a Rowan Stalwarts. This is a 5/2 human knight, and when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Rowan Fearless Sparkmage, reveal it, and put it to your hand, and if you search your library this way, shuffle it. We'll put the card to our hand, we'll shuffle. The Rimrock Knight should be dead, so we'll put this in the graveyard, and then Rowan will pass the turn. Oko untaps. The Pixie should only have 2 counters on it. Oko draws, gets a forest. Oko will play the forest, and then I think we can still afford to attack, so we will attack with the Marrowleaf Pixie for 4. Rowan can't block, will take 4 and go to 12. And then Oko will leave the Garenbrig Carver as a surprise and pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws, gets a mountain, we'll play the mountain. We'll spend 2 mana and use the Ardenvale Tactician again to tap down their 2 blockers. The Turtle and the Carver are tapped. Rowan will then attack with the entire team for 13 damage. Oko takes 13 and goes to 6. Rowan will follow up by tapping 4 and playing Rowan's Battle Guard. This is a 3/3 human knight with first strike, and as long as you control a Rowan Planeswalker, it gets +3/+0. And then Rowan will pass the turn. At the end of Rowan's turn, Oko will tap 5 mana and play Oko's Hospitality. It's an instant. Creatures you control have base power and toughness 3/3 until end of turn, and you may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Oko the Trickster, reveal it, put it to your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. We'll grab the graveyard Oko and put it into our hand. Rowan's turn ends. Oko untaps, draws a Charmed Sleep. Oko needs a lot of bodies to defend against this large group of creatures, so rather than casting Oko, he will spend 4 mana to cast Garenbrig Carver, and then 3 mana to put the Charmed Sleep on the Rowan's Battle Guard, knowing that Rowan is coming soon. This is an Aura enchant creature. When Charmed Sleep enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature does not untap during its controller's untap step. The Battle Guard taps, and knowing that Rowan is coming, we can't attack, otherwise we face lethal, and so Oko will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws a Plains, play the planes. We don't have a good attack right now, but Rowan has enough going on that I think all we need to do is get the flyers going. So instead of attacking, we are just going to play both Ardenvale Tacticians. Ardenvale Tactician is a 2/3 human knight with flying. We'll put them both on the battlefield. And we will pass for this turn. Oko taps, draws a Marrowleaf Pixie. That will be helpful. We will tap a green and a blue and play another Marrowleaf Pixie. And then we will tap everything else and play Oko the Trickster. We'll put the counters on Oko and then immediately plus up Oko to 5 and give the other Marrowleaf Pixie a +2/+2. And then Oko will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws a weapon rack. Rowan will spend 5 mana and cast Rowan, Fearless Spark Mage. This is a 5 loyalty Planeswalker with +1 up to 1 target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. -2, Rowan, Fearless Spark Mage deals 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures. Those creatures can't block this turn. Or -9, gain control of all creatures until end of turn. Untap them, they gain haste until end of turn. I'll put 5 counters on her. I think it is now worth it to go for the Alpha Strike, so we will go ahead and +1 Rowan to get to 6, and then put the +3/+0 and first strike on the Ardenvale Tactician, making it a 5/3 first striker. We will attack with everybody directly at Oko. With only 4 blockers, Oko is forced to chump the Ardenvale Tactician with the Marrowleaf Pixie. We will effect the trade with the Stalwarts and with the Acclaimed Contender with the Garenbrick Carvers, and we must also block the Knight of the Keep. That will leave us taking 4 damage from the remaining creatures. And so the 2 Garenbrick Carvers will die from trades, the Pixie will die from being chumped, and the Turtle will last. Will take 4 damage from the unblocked Ardenvale Tactician and the Youthful Knight to go down to 2. For her part, Rowan will lose the Acclaimed Contender and the Stalwarts, and then Rowan will pass the turn. Oko untaps, draws a Beanstalk Giant. We will tap everything and play the Beanstalk Giant. This is a Star Giant, and its power and toughness is equal to the number of lands you control, so that is a 7/7. I don't think that this is enough to get me through this, but we will go ahead and +1 Oko to go to 6, and then we'll put 2 +1/+1 counters onto the Mistford River Turtle, making it a 3/7, and then Oko will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws a Plains, we'll play the Plains. We have the win in hand, so we'll just go ahead and do that by attacking with the 2 Ardenvale Tacticians, which cannot be blocked by Oko. Oko takes 4 and perishes. And that is the end of game 1. We'll be right back for game 2. For game 2, Oko will go first. We'll draw 7 cards. Oko draws Oko the Trickster, Forest, Frogify, Wildborn Preserver, Thornwood Falls, Marrowleaf Pixie, and Forest. Seems like a decent start. We'll go ahead and keep that. Rowan draws a Windscarred Crag, Rowan Stalwarts, Youthful Knight, Prized Griffin, Mountain, Plains, and Plains. It's a better hand than the last one, so we'll go ahead and keep this. Oko starts with a Thornwood Fall tapped. We'll gain 1 life and go up to 21. Oko passes the turn. Rowan draws a Scorching Dragonfire. We'll play the Windscarred Crag tap, gain 1 life to go up to 21, and then we'll pass the turn. Oko untaps, draws, gets a Mistford River Turtle. Oko will play the Forest. We'll tap both of these, and we'll play the Marrowleaf Pixie, and then Oko will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws, gets a Garrison Griffin. Rowan will play a Plains. We'll tap both of these, and we'll play a Youthful Knight, and then Rowan will pass the turn. Oko untaps, draws, gets a Thornwood Falls. Oko will play a Forest, and we'll tap all of these, and play the Mistford River Turtle, and then Oko will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws, gets a Windscarred Crag. Rowan will play a Plains, and then Rowan will tap the Windscarred Crag and the Plains and play the Garrison Griffin. This is a 2/2 Griffin with flying. When it attacks, target knight you control gains flying until end of turn, and then Rowan will pass the turn. Oko untaps, draws a Frogify. We'll play the Thornwood Falls tapped. We'll gain another life to go up to 22. And then we will spend 2 mana to play Frogify, targeting the Garrison Griffin. This is an aura enchanted creature. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a blue frog creature with base power and toughness 1/1. This is to prevent the Garrison Griffin from coming in and hitting us for a lot of damage. And then Oko will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws a Rowan's Battle Guard. Rowan will play the Mountain, and then Rowan will have 4 mana, play the Rowan's Battle Guard, and then Rowan will pass the turn. Oko untaps, draws a forest, we'll play the forest, and then we will hold steady for the time being. Rowan untaps, draws a plains. Rowan will play the plains. Rowan will spend 5 mana, play Rowan's Stalwarts. Remember this, we'll go search for Rowan. Put it in our hand. And then Rowan will pass the turn. At the end of Rowan's turn, Oko will tap 2 mana and play the Wildborn Preserver. This is a 2/2 elf archer with flash and reach, and whenever another non-human creature enters the battlefield, you may pay X. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters on Wildborn Preserver. We'll untap. We draw a forest. We will play the forest, and then we will tap everything and play Oko the Trickster. We get our 4 counters. We'll immediately +1 Oko and put 2 +1/+1 counters onto the Mistford River Turtle, making it 3/7. And then Oko will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws an Ardenvale Tactician. Rowan will play the Windscarred Crag tapped. We'll get another life and go to 22. And then I think we're going to try to Scorching Dragonfire and Ardenvale Tactician the next turn to get in a big swing. So we're actually going to pass the turn. Oko untaps, draws an island. We'll play the island, and then we'll need to neutralize some threats here, so we'll tap the island in the forest and play Frogify, targeting Rowan Stalwarts, making it a 1/1. Oko will +1 to the 6, putting 2 +1/+1 counters onto the Marrowleaf Pixie, making it a 4/4. While the counters are on the stack, Rowan will tap a mountain and a plains, and Scorching Dragonfire, the Marrowleaf Pixie, while it's still a 2/2, it's an instant. It deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. The Marrowleaf Pixie is exiled. Oko will move to combat. Rowan will tap 2 plains and cast the Dizzying Swoop, part of Ardenvale Tactician, to tap the Wildborn Preserver and the Mistford River Turtle. They are tapped, and so Oko can do nothing and will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws, gets a Scorching Dragonfire. We will attack Oko with everybody except for one of these creatures, and we'll attack Oko the player directly with a 1/1. Oko the Planeswalker dies, and Oko the player will take 1 to go to 21. And then we will pay 3 mana and cast the Ardenvale Tactician from exile, and then we will pass the turn. Oko untaps, draws, gets a Fairy Vandal, and then Oko will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws a Garrison Griffin. Rowan will go to combat and will attack with the Ardenvale Tactician for 2 in the air. Oko will choose not to block, and we will take 2 to go to 19. And then, wanting to keep mana up to blow up the Wildborn Preserver, should it go big, we will spend 3 mana and play the Garrison Griffin, and then Rowan will pass the turn. At the end of the turn, Oko will spend 2 mana and flash in the Fairy Vandal. This is a 1/2 Fairy Rogue with flash and flying, and whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Fairy Vandal. Because another non-human creature into the battlefield, we'll pay X, which is 5, to put 5 +1/+1 counters on Wildborn Preserver. While that effect is on the stack, Rowan will tap 2 mana and cast Scorching Dragonfire, targeting the Wildborn Preserver. The Wildborn Preserver dies and is exiled before it can get its +1/+1 counters, and Rowan's turn ends. Oko untaps, draws an island. Oko will hold the island as a bluff and will pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws, gets a mountain, will play the mountain. Rowan will go to combat And we will attack with the Ardenvale Tactician. The Garrison Griffin will give Rowan's Battle Guard flying for a total of 7 damage in the air. Oko will take 7, go to 12. Rowan will follow up by tapping 5 mana and casting the Prized Griffin, just a 3/4 Griffin with flying, and then Rowan will pass the turn. Oko draws, gets an island. Oko will play the island, and Oko will bluff and pass the turn. Rowan untaps, draws, gets a Garrison Griffin. Thinking that the win is in hand, Rowan is going to tap out and play the Spark Mage again. We'll put 5 counters on her and then immediately -2 her to 3 to deal 1 damage to the turtle and to the Fairy Vandal so they can't block, and we'll attack with the whole team, including the Battle Guard, which is a 6/3 now, for a total of 17 damage. Oko again cannot block and dies in a flood of mana. And that is the end of our 2 games. Oko loses in straight sets to the very aggressive Rowan deck, and Oko was not able to stabilize and flooded out in the second game, and so that explains the losses. Let me know what your thoughts were about these games in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of these videos, you can hit subscribe. This was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.